All right, and for the main event, we got Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira coming in here with a 30-8 record. 31 years old. Man, he's been fighting in the UFC for a long time. 5'10" with a 74-inch reach. The comeback on Michael Chandler, 35 years old, so he's going to be the elder here. 5'8" with a 69-inch reach, so he's going to have a 2-inch height disadvantage and a 5-inch. I'm sorry. About an 8-inch reach disadvantage. So coming in here, Charles definitely is going to have to stay on his back foot. We all know Michael Chandler's game plan. He likes to come in heavy. He likes to come in quick. I mean, I've been watching this man since, him choking out Rick Hahn and back in Bellator, fucking, I don't know, 2011, 12, something like that. But yeah, man, he's been a top staple for that promotion for a long time, and every time he's went in there, he's done work, and there's been a few times where he's had some hiccups, so we'll get to that later on. With Charles Oliveira, he's 30-8, and he pretty much grew up in the UFC. He's been in there for at least the last 10 years, and he's fought pretty much everybody there is to fight. At the time, especially, he was fighting guys like Pettis, Paul Felder, Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson, Cerrone, Jim Miller, just fucking murderer's row of dudes, right? So, and he was being competitive in some of them, and some of them he wasn't. Other than that, you gave him anybody else, like a Jeremy Stevens, a Nick Lance, a Miles Jury, a Will Brooks, who fucking dominated Michael Chandler. You give him someone like that, he finishes him. Christian Giagos, who's earlier in this card, finishes him. Jared Gordon, that's not a great win, but Kevin Lee, man. And that's probably the most fight that we could take away from this is Kevin Lee has a similar fighting style as Chandler. The only thing he doesn't have is just that piston right that Chandler has. But other than that, he has the pressure, he has the build, he has the wrestling skills, and he has the power that Chandler presents. So seeing that Oliveira can go out there and make Kevin Lee back up with his teep kicks, his front kicks, keep Kevin Lee on his back foot with his strikes, have good footwork and move around when Kevin Lee tries to come in and shoot or close the distance with big hooks and overhands. Seeing him that whole play out, and towards the later rounds when he gassed and finishing him, it's super super positive if you're on the Oliveira side. With Chandler though, like I said, the man has a piston right hand. It has to be the best right hand in MMA. I don't. There's probably someone out there, but I don't think of anybody else who has a better right hand than him. That being said, Chandler's inconsistent to me, man. He has losses that will make you scratch your fucking head. I mean, like we mentioned, Will Brooks lost to him, if I'm not mistaken, twice. Twice. He had a split decision loss to Eddie Alvarez, which was like fight of the year. He has a Brett Primus stoppage where his ankle went limp, kind of like a Sean O'Malley type deal. And then he got knocked out against Pitbull not too long ago. So, I mean, five losses out of 22 wins. I don't know if you can call that super inconsistent, but it just seems every time he's on the biggest stage of his career or the biggest, he needs this win to solidify himself, he loses it. Like, against Pitbull, he was going to, avenge a loss, I believe. And then the Brett Primus fight, that was his first fight at being a champion to, defend it and whatnot. And he got fucking kicked in the leg and, deaded it like fucking O'Malley. And then before that, man, just Will Brooks just went out there and, like, I don't know what he did, stole his soul. Do you remember that, bro? That was, back in 2014. It was ages ago. But these things stick with me when I'm thinking about the man. And then on the flip side against Oliveira, he did lose back in the day, but look who he was losing to. It was fucking Max Holloway, Anthony Pettis, and stuff like that. Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson. So, level of competition, to me, I mean, do you call it close?
Oh, it's not even close at all. It's definitely favors Oliveira in this one. For Charles, like you mentioned the record. Now he's coming on that 8-fight win streak. He's one of the best grapplers to ever do it. In the cage. This dude has 6 submissions. He had a masterful performance against Tony in his last fight. and he finally gets his title shot. It's been a long time coming for him. He's always been on the cusp, and they were kind of hating on him on giving him that shot, but he's earned it. He should have had it a long time ago, and he's finally getting that shot, and I'm happy to see that for him. With 19 submission wins overall, but I do think Chandler is going to be a tough one a tough one for him. It's going to be he's definitely going to be a tough one to sub, and he's going to be a tough one to get out of there. But I think Charles is going to need to get him out of there if he's going to want to get this win. If this does go to the judges, I don't think many people that have Oliveira on their betting tickets are going to like the outcome if this goes to the judges. For Chandler, you mentioned about his past fights, which brings up the same concerns that I've had. He does have that powerful overhand, that Dan Henderson right hand. Great wrestler. I think he's gonna look to land that missile of a right hand that he has. But I think he's also gonna try to mix in the takedowns. I think he's confident in himself enough that he's gonna try to get this fight to the floor and try to get some top control and use some ground and pound. I know that's a dangerous game when you're playing with somebody like Oliveira, who's great off his back, and he can tap you from so many different ways. You're playing in there where you might be able to get triangled, but I think Chandler is confident in himself enough to where and he knows he's a superior wrestler. I think he tries to get him against the cage, pull his legs from under him, try to get on top and just power down some punches and try to get him out of there. If not, I can see him just kind of doing similar to that the whole fight. And getting him down. If this does go to the distance, I think Chandler wins this fight rather easily. To be honest, I think the only way Oliveira gets it done is if he's able to get him out of there, and I don't think he's gonna be able to knock him out. If he does, he's gonna have to sub him. Chandler don't even have a neck, so it's gonna be tough. Maybe he arm bars him, maybe he triangles him off his back, but I'm leaning Chandler heavily on this one. I can't say he's like one of my favorites on the card, but I do think he's gonna be the next champion.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the other side. I couldn't disagree more. I don't think Chandler's gonna come in here and with a wrestle heavy game plan. I don't see him shooting doubles out in the open and leaving his neck exposed for someone like Oliveira.
No, not in the open.
It would have to be against the cage.
That's what he's going to do, yeah, and pull those legs from under him.
Against the cage, against the taller guy. He's going to have to cut him off. We're in the big cage this week, so I feel like that's definitely going to play towards Oliveira's advantage. But, man, I just can't see... I can't see Chandler on top for, an extensive period of time without getting something caught up, swept, or outpositioned. I mean, Oliveira doesn't have the most submissions in UFC history for nothing, and they're not against chumps. They're against, great fighters, Jim Millers and whatnot. So to think that Chandler is going to come out here and just wrestle heavy, I'm super off of that. I feel like that if that does happen, that plays right into Oliveira's hand.
He has never been tapped.
He hasn't, but he has never fought anybody like Oliveira either.
No.
You know what? He did fight Goldie Yamamuchi, so that's but even then, man.
Trains with Gilbert Burns. He does have some high level jiu-jitsu guys.
That is true, but
there is no Oliveira. Oliveira's another guy.
Oliveira's hitting fucking twisters, fucking calf slicers, all sorts of shit, man. You don't ever see. So I just don't think that he's gonna have anything for Oliveira on the mat, whether he's on top, especially if he's on fucking his back. So I don't see that, man. I really feel like it's definitely fucking live for Michael Chandler first round knockout, which was like what was that looking like, plus 900 or something like that.
Yeah, it was a big line.
And even and then on the flip side, I don't think it's a first round prop, but I definitely feel like Oliveira's live for a sub. So
especially in like a third, fourth
I feel like
round.
that's the only way it happens. I don't feel like this one's going to the decision at all. So Oliveira by submission is plus 200. If you feel like Oliveira is going to win, I would take the submission prop because I don't see it going any other way unless, and he does have those those good low kicks, which he's been showing a lot lately. Unless he hits like an O'Malley type thing and he just goes down, or, Brett Primus thing as it was known before. But yeah, unless he hits one of those things and it goes down, I don't see him getting him out of there by a TKO. It's going to be a sub or bust. And as far as Michael Chandler goes, he's a plus 700 for first round TKO. That's insane because that's literally like one of his major paths to victory. So, I mean, however you feel about it, if you feel like Chandler's going to win, I would stick with that first round KO. If you feel like Oliveira's going to win, I would go submission straight, not a certain round, because if Chandler doesn't get that first round knockout, I feel like he's going to be the one that's going to gas. He's going to be the one out there exerting more energy, using more footwork to close the distance, and you have to use more energy to close that distance. As far as Oliveira, he's going to be longer. He's going to have that 8-inch reach advantage. He's going to be able to kick him from distance, keep him from distance, and keep him at range and at bay. So that's how I see it shaking out. It's going to be I don't think it's going past the 2.5 over and under. So yeah, that's a good spot too. That 2.5 under, I feel like that's a good spot too.
Yeah, and for the odds, they have Oliveira at minus 130 with Chandler at plus 110.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, that's the odds. That's what they're looking at now. So yeah, it could go one or two ways. It's a tell two fights. So we'll see what happens here. I'm going Chandler, going Iron Mike, and you're going with the Bronx.
I'm going Oliveira.
All right, so it's going to be a hell of a main event. We're finally going to get a lightweight champion. So it's going to be interesting. It should be a great fight. Stay tuned. We're going to have best bets coming up next.